So there's a great quote by Eckhart Tolle, and it goes something like this. There are essentially two ways in life to be unhappy. Number one is not getting what you want. I think most people are familiar with this way. I think this way to unhappiness is more common. It's the most common way. Most people feel like there's something missing from my life. If only I had this XYZ, whatever it is, money, love, a house, cool cars, lived in a different place, whatever it is, right? This is one route to unhappiness, not having what you want. The second way to unhappiness is getting what you want. So isn't that funny? The first way is not getting what you want. The second way is getting what you want. This is less common, but we're all familiar with the person who's super wealthy, maybe rich and famous, has all the accolades, all the achievements, etc., and yet is miserable, doesn't ultimately feel fulfilled by it, doesn't feel happy. Because you could have, all the wealth, you could have a loving family, you could have all the material goods that you could possibly desire, and still deep down not feel happy or fulfilled. Now, why is this? Because ultimately, all the things of this world are fleeting. It's not lasting. No matter what you get, we all know deep down that it could be taken away at any moment. It's not ultimately who you are. And so there comes a point in your life where you have to strive for something beyond the material, beyond just the attainment of more material possessions, whether that's money or different things, houses, cars, or even relationships, or having your ideal mate or something like that. Even that won't ultimately fulfill you. So there comes a point when I think you need to seek something that is actually lasting, and that is the development of who you are. So the next level beyond material achievement is the level of character achievement. So that's the development of your character, becoming a person who is perhaps more loving, more joyful, more giving, more service-oriented, helpful towards others, perhaps non-reactive, a person who doesn't get angry easily or doesn't become bitter or jealous, letting go of these dysfunctional ways of being and moving into a state of greater harmony within yourself, and just being a beacon of positivity and goodness and joy for other people, someone who uplifts others, right? So this is a level beyond just that seeking of material achievement and material success. And I think in our society, especially in the Western world, we put so much emphasis on this material level of success, but it's so shallow. And that's why there's so much unhappiness and misery in Western society. I think in the East, they put a bit more emphasis on these internal achievements in terms of your state of being, or perhaps in terms of enlightenment. And this is the final state of achievement, which you could call spiritual attainment. And this is simply the recognition of your own essential nature, or the true nature of yourself and of all of reality. This recognition that who you are ultimately is this God essence, or is this essence of life itself, this awareness, this presence, what you could call spirit, which is a formless essence that breathes life into all that is. And recognizing that and resting in that space is that spiritual realization, that spiritual attainment, and that is the highest level possible. And I believe that this level brings the highest fulfillment, because it's the recognition of who you really are and that which can never be taken away from you. Doesn't matter what happens in this physical plane of existence, which we all inevitably leave anyway. We leave this body behind. We leave behind all our material possessions, all relationships, everything. You have to relinquish it at some point, right? So this is truly all you take with you, is your spiritual essence. And so recognizing that and resting in that, I believe, is the highest achievement that one can attain. Recognizing the truth of yourself as, you could say, an emanation or an expression of what you could call God, of the divine, right? So you are that seed of divine light, divine essence. And you are ultimately one with that divine essence. You are one with God in the ultimate sense, right? So really, when you reach a certain point and you realize that material gain and material success does not bring you the fulfillment that you may have hoped. And I think when we're young, we really put a lot of emphasis on this. Like, we all want to get rich and famous and have these ideal mates, right? I know as a man, when you're young, you just want to hook up with all the beautiful women, and you want to get all the money, and you want to achieve greatness in whatever form. It could be business, it could be some art form, and you want to be significant and recognized as successful. You want to be recognized as someone who is significant, really, and create this significant impact in the world. Maybe you want to have a lot of followers on social media, you want to be well known, you want people to recognize you. Oh, hey, I know you from that movie or that video online, whatever it is. I think this is a very common desire, to be rich and famous and to be loved and adored by people and appreciated. And I think once we realize there's no ultimate fulfillment or satisfaction in that pursuit, even if you take it to a very high level, you recognize there's not ultimately any fulfillment or satisfaction in that, then you move on to the higher level of developing your character. You put more emphasis on the character development. And then when you realize even that is limited, then finally is the spiritual realization and that stage of enlightenment. So I believe these are the stages we go through. And it's important to recognize real fulfillment comes, one, from developing your character. Developing these admirable qualities of character, being loving and kind and giving, and just being a joyful person who uplifts others. And then finally being a person who attains these high spiritual levels and ultimately enlightenment.